After a disastrous opener, Sean Halloran found himself third on the BC depth chart at the end of the bench. 2 injuries later, Halloran was behind the center again, reviving the Eagle passing attack with 1,000 yards over the last 4 games. For the first time since Doug Flutie, Boston College has won consecutive games. BC goes up against a West Virginia team which has beaten them 5 straight years. Their deep threat, Harvey Smith. Coming up next, an Eastern Football Classic, BC at West Virginia on USA. Mountaineer Field in Morgantown, West Virginia, USA Sports presents College Football 86. And today, the Eagles of Boston College take on the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Well, the old master painter has outdone himself. He's splashed a palette of oils all over these green rolling hills of West Virginia. Beautiful scenery. But today, he's kind of ruined that a little bit with the fact that winter is lurking in a nearby cave, and he's dumped the whole production into a murky tub. And that's what we have for you. Hello, everyone. Eddie Doucette with Kyle Rote Jr. What we're talking today is rivalry, one of the very, very best. It's like a war every time these 2 teams get together.
Well, particularly for the Boston College Eagles, because their coaching staff has had a remarkable series of years, not only in the Flutie era, but also since then. They've had an Outland Trophy winner. They've had the Heisman Trophy winner. They've gone to 3 bowl games. They've won a Cotton Bowl, but one mountain they have yet to climb is here in the mountains of West Virginia, and that's beating the Mountaineers with this coaching staff.
Boy, and they've had some magnificent games. Going way back to 1977 was really the last time that Boston College won a game in this series. Since that time, it's been all Don Nehlen and the Mountaineers. And Jack Bicknell has had some thoughts about that. Here's a fellow that's had some rough moments, and we're going to get an opportunity to find out from Jack as to just how that whole thing has come about.
Well, you know, Eddie, one of the nice things about this Boston College situation is that they have played very well this year. They have come into a situation where the games that they've lost have been against good teams, and their defense is playing a lot better.
Let's find out directly from Jack Bicknell about some of the anxious moments in the series. The BC-West Virginia rivalry of the early 80s represented Eastern football at its finest, and 1982 was no exception. Doug Flutie led the undefeated Eagles into Morgantown, but was harassed all afternoon. BC coach Jack Bicknell recalls the final minutes of a tight game.
We had a chance to win the game. I wasn't thinking about a tie. I was thinking about taking it down and winning. And we dropped the punt, which can happen. You know, these are kids. These aren't anything other than kids. And we dropped the punt, and they punched it in and scored. And I have a lot of respect for West Virginia. Don Nehlen does a great job coaching. And his kids always play with emotion and intensity. And, you know, it's just been great games. And so I don't really have any bad thoughts about those 5 games. I wish we had won them. But I'm looking forward to the game today.
Well, it's obvious that even the Flutie magic wasn't enough during those tremendous years for BC. But now we have a different circumstance. BC with a rough start, but they've straightened things out to 3-3. West Virginia off to a good start, 2-0, and they've lost 4 games in a row. They've got to find a way to straighten this whole thing out.
Well, and it's a very unusual situation. Players are normally very intense about a game, and we've seen some of that. But you've seen the coaching staff's very intense, too. The big 58-14 loss that West Virginia had 2 weeks ago, they've had the week off, they've had some time to regroup, and they're anxious to start a second season for their program because they've certainly been embarrassed here in the starting half.
You know, it's very interesting, Kyle, to see some of the changes that coaches have to go through in order to straighten things out. We saw what Jack Bicknell had to do in changing quarterbacks. We know now what Don Nehlen has to do today to try and get his team on track. But let's go back and find out a little bit about what Boston College had to do. A big decision on the part of head coach Jack Bicknell. started and then benched, and now has returned the senior quarterback Sean Halloran to lead the BC offense.
And since Halloran has returned to the Boston College controls following the Penn State game, it's 1,003 yards and 7 touchdowns in his last 4 games, passing 67%. One of his favorite receivers, Darren Flutie.
And another is Kelvin Martin. But Flutie has been terrific this year. And, of course, he is the brother of Doug Flutie.
One of the beauties of the Boston College passing offense is they throw to so many different receivers. Here's the tailback, Troy Stratford, who's known for his rushing, but look at these moves and watch the speed as a 90-yard touchdown for Troy Stratford off the passing of Sean Halloran.
And he's healthy. We've seen many games where he hasn't been, but when he's healthy, he can catch him and he can run him. And he had 171 yards against Louisville last weekend.
Speed straight ahead, good moves to the outside, and if Stratford, though, is bottled up by the defense, look for Jim Bell, who's gained valuable experience in the last seasons, as Troy Stratford's been on the injury list more than once.
And the defense has improved, and certainly one of their best is Bill Romanowski, a linebacker who is everywhere.
A lot of folks remember Mike Ruth on the interior line of Boston College last year. Well, how about Tom Perrell this season? Nose guard play hasn't dropped too much with Perrell there.
And one of the fellas that I enjoy watching the most is defensive tackle John Bosa. He'll make you remember him. But that even hurts to look at. I have to take a little bow towards Sean Halloran. I really get some strong feelings about what he's been through this year and the way he's handled it. He could have very easily crawled into the hollow log and said, hey, forget it. Remember the Cal game when they started power and then came in with Camp House and they just bypassed Halloran completely?
Well, he could have said forget it because a lot of people forgot him, but it has been a resurrection, a phoenix of sorts coming out of the burning ashes of that depressing game that he played earlier in this season to see himself back in the #1 slot as a quarterback. And he's had some comments on that. We want to talk about Sean Halloran and let him respond to how these changes have affected him.
Well, it was a tough situation coming off last season, and I wanted to come out and perform well in our opening game, and unfortunately things just didn't turn out for the better. And so we made a quarterback change, and they used 2 freshmen ahead of me, and they moved me down to 3rd string. And I think it just took a lot of pressure off me, and I was able to relax and not worry about it, for a couple of weeks. And then, unfortunately, we had injuries, and you never want injuries to come to your teammates, but it gave me the second opportunity to play. And so far, I think I've made the best of it, and I think that offensively, we finally put some continuity together and put some points on the board, and I think if we continue with this success, then we should do fine.
Oh, he's done a terrific job. Try these numbers. In the last 2 games, he's completed 40 of 58 passes, 568 yards, no interceptions, and 4 touchdowns. That's a terrific comeback for Halloran.
Well, and one reason that he's done that is the offensive line, and almost all senior offensive line has done a wonderful job of giving him the protection and allowed him the opportunity to pick secondary and tertiary receivers, where last year, as you recall, he was always focused on pretty much one receiver, and if that man was covered, he was in trouble.
Today, they'll have the fire hoses out after him, though. They're going to flush him out of the pocket. That's all they can do as far as West Virginia is concerned. We'll talk West Virginia when we return to Mountaineer Field in Morgantown.
Powerful new financial help is coming. The Rock, the Prudential, is now more than insurance. It's mutual funds, home mortgages, IRAs, stocks and bonds, new products and new ideas. It's rock-solid financial help for us all. The Rock, the Prudential. It's strong, it's on the move, it's bigger than life.
We're not a company, but we'll give you a chance to work where there's always a challenge. We'll give you opportunities to learn, to develop, to perfect skills that you thought were beyond your reach. We'll help you build a career that can reward you for the rest of your life. We're not a company, we're your country. We're the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines. We're the Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
Excuse me, what would you say if you could make more out-of-state calls for the same amount of money? Even during business hours?
Well...
Trained specialists, there when you need them. What if the company offering you all this was AT&T?
That's a horse of a different color.
The new AT&T Pro America plan. 10% off for just $15 a month. And AT&T. Call 1-800-222-0400. AT&T, the right choice.
Back at Mountaineer Field here in Morgantown, West Virginia, I'm Eddie Doucette with Kyle Rote Jr. And Kyle, this is a severe test for Don Nealon. He got off to a 6-6 start when he came here back in '81, but he's really never had this kind of a rough go that he's having right now.
No, and he's got a team that is primarily freshmen and sophomores. Of the top 2 deep, the top 48 players, when you include kickers, only 18 of those players are upperclassmen. So he's got young players at very key positions, particularly at linebacker. And as we know, anytime you've got young players at linebacker with the kind of defense they play, it's going to make it very difficult for them.
So what kind of changes have to be made? And what will Benny Reed do? He's replaced Mike Timko as the starting quarterback today.
Well, I think Benny Reed is a big play guy. You know, some guys practice real well, and some guys seem to play better in the ball games. And every time we put Benny in the games, things seem to happen. And he has a great release, and he's 6 feet 4.5, and I think that's going to help us. But I think he'll make some big plays for us today.
What can West Virginia do to turn this season around? You've had 4 tough games in a row.
Well, I think the big thing we have to do, we're a very young, inexperienced football team, and we have to quit beating ourselves. Our turnover ratio is terrible. We're fumbling the football, and we've thrown interceptions, and we just can't do that.
Fumbles, 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 and more fumbles. They've had their problems. They've got to straighten out the problems.
Well, they've picked on 2 players to try to straighten those out. The leading person that fumbles, Hollifield, will not be starting. And, of course, the change at quarterback where there have been some interceptions. And so he's decided to go ahead and make changes at key positions, not at just the line positions.
It's been a disappointing year not only for Don Nealon and his staff, because they had expected so much. Good young recruiting freshmen coming in, complimenting the sophomores and juniors. But it's also been a difficult year for their fans here, as we've found out. A little bit less than what the fans had expected. And Don Nealon and the West Virginia Mountaineers are going to have to start pulling it together to try and salvage from this season. The West Virginia quarterback, Mike Timko, like right here. But he will not start today. Harvey Smith is one of their best receivers. You'll hear his name mentioned many times this afternoon.
But the quarterback controversy is due in part because the team has lost 4 games in a row, and that's why we'll see in the starting quarterback slot Ben Reed. Ben Reed, 6 feet 4 inches tall, a little bit stronger. He still loves to go to those good tight ends, though.
And he said this is his big opportunity, and he's not going to let it slip by.
Talk about the running game. John Hollifield is the man who's made his name over the past few seasons, but he's had a very severe case of fumbleitis this year, and that's why he will not be starting today.
That's a tough decision for Coach Don Nealon, his co-captain being assigned to the bench because he likes to run east-west. And Nealon says, I want a man that can hang onto the ball and run north-south. Get me into the promised land. So Hollifield will sit down, and in will be coming Undra Johnson.
Undra Johnson, only a sophomore. All he knows is he wants to get the ball to the end zone, and he's done it twice this year.
Then they have another name that's pretty well known around here. Last year's quarterback, now a wide receiver. He can catch, he can run, he can throw, he can do it all. John Talley.
And when we look to the defensive side of the ball, they're going to have to put a lot of pressure on BC quarterback Sean Halloran. Here's the game earlier in the season against Miami, one of the few times they were able to get Miami for a loss.
It's not been an active defense. They'll have to do more of it today. One man that'll be right there if they do is outside linebacker Matt Smith. He is definitely the key to their defense. They look for a lot from Matt today. A lot of play action on the offense, a lot of blitzing on the defense. Perhaps overloading the weak side with their defensive rush and try and flush Halloran out of the pocket. That's what they have to do. And you got to recall, Kyle, that this is a West Virginia team that has had a devil of a time in the first quarter this year. They've been outscored 66-3, so they've got to try and get off to a good start.
And there was no better indication of how poorly they've started than that 58-14 loss against Miami. Fumbling the ball in the 4th play of the game. When they got the ball back again, 2 sacks. Punted out of the end zone, gave up the ball in their own territory on the 34-yard line. They fumbled the ensuing kickoff, and it was 21-0 Miami, 5.5 minutes into the ball game, and thus the whole strategy and the tactics of the game for Don Nealon had to change.
So they've made the changes. Change is a big word today. We saw change at Boston College in our first telecast of the year. They went to the young quarterback power. Since that time, Halloran, the man he really wanted, is back there. It's a question of whether he wants Timko here or he wants Ben Reed. And as far as Ben Reed is concerned, there's no pressure. This is fun.
There's no pressure at all. And first of all, I'm not going to be doing it by myself. You know, I've got 10 other guys with me plus the whole defense. So there's no pressure at all. I've been here. I'm ready to play. I know what I'm doing, and I have the confidence for it.
What about Ben Reed? Huh? Big, strong guy. What do you expect from him?
Well, you've got to have a player back there with confidence. We just heard that he has a lot of confidence. But when he was playing in junior college, he picked up a great deal of yardage on the ground and running, which tells us that he can scramble a little bit. In the spring game this year, he was 14 out of 17 and threw 3 touchdown passes, and a lot of players felt that he would be starting out this season. But then Timko last year had won the final 3 games for West Virginia, and of course Neyland went with Timko because of that. But a lot of people have confidence in Benny Reed.
Benny Reed has good stock. He played football in Oklahoma. He's going to give it his best shot here today. Redshirted last year, will play today, and he has another year remaining. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, the folks here at Morgantown in a stadium that seats over 65,000 are on their feet, and momentarily we'll have the playing of our national anthem. As we said, it's a gray, dank day, but hopefully the spirits of some of these Mountaineer fans will be picked up with a pretty good effort by the Mountaineers.
The assistant director of band at West Virginia University. Now please rise and join us in honoring America.
It's an anticipated sellout for this classic East Coast rivalry, BC and West Virginia from Morgantown, when we return.
Yeah, Tabasco.
Witness the beginning of a new legend. New Jeep Wrangler. The possibilities are endless.
The Kemper Cavalry. Why do so many people trust their auto and home insurance to Kemper?
First accident forgiveness.
Kemper Total. Repair or replacement value coverage for my new car, as long as I own it.
Guaranteed renewal for good drivers 55 and over.
Compare Kemper's loyal protection with anyone. We don't have to toot our own horn. Once you compare Kemper, you'll ride with us.
We're live from Mountaineer Stadium, the Eagles of Boston College taking on the Mountaineers of West Virginia. Today's game is brought to you in part by Jeep. There's a feeling you get only in a Jeep. And by Kemper and the independent insurance agents who represent us. For all your insurance needs, ride with Kemper. Morgantown, and of course this is the Mountaineer Field. You know, interestingly enough, as we look down on the field for the coin ceremonies, they have done very well here as far as attendance is concerned this year. They're averaging over 62,000 people, and they've done a terrific job of refurbishing a stadium into a major college attraction. Really is a very, very nice facility that they have here at Morgantown. West Virginia's beaten Boston 6 straight times in the series. And we'll go down to the field and see if we can pick up the toss.
It's a tail. You can exercise your options now and defer to the second half. You will defer. All right. West Virginia defers to the second half. You can kick, receive, or defend a goal. You want the ball. What goal do you want to defend? You want to kick that way. Boston College will receive. Good luck, fellas. Have a good game.
Needless to say, West Virginia kicking off is going to take the wind at their back. Here initially, always a smart coaching decision. The wind can always change, and take it when you've got it. And West Virginia deferring their decision into the second half. Our officials for the game, Jim Garvey, that was his voice we heard, and we'll hear him throughout the afternoon.
And the captains that you saw, Boston College with 4, Bosa, Martin, Stratford, and Trapillo. And West Virginia with their captains, Hollifield and Lucas. And ironically, neither of the West Virginia captains will start. And that's something that Coach Don Nehlen talked about yesterday, but he said he thought that that might happen sometime during the season. So the big changes, Hollifield won't start, Undra Johnson will start. And, of course, Benny Reed will start at quarterback, replacing Mike Timko. There are some injuries that you may note. One, and most notable, is that starting linebacker Jeff Castro will not play for West Virginia. They'll rotate some other people into the spot. And other than that, primary, secondary people who are not available here today. There's Don Nehlen, 50, 26, and 1, sparkling record. And what a job he has done with this program.
Another change that we're seeing today in the student section of the stands, they're pretty much empty. We've got a boycott going on by the students. They have been under camera supervision, kind of a closed-circuit camera because of problems that they have caused throwing bottles and such out of the stadium. And the students have decided to respond by not showing up, at least not here initially at the kickoff.
So we're ready to go. And kicking off, West Virginia, as it was Charlie Bauman. And returning the ball was Tyrone Taylor of Boston College. So the Eagles take possession, and they'll start with this kind of an offensive machine, and it's been a pretty good one. They've won 2 games in a row. They've done a nice job of coming back after that poor start against Rutgers. Boston will have Halloran at quarterback with Turner and Stratford, the running backs, in the backfield. Casparillo, Flutie are the receivers. Warren has now replaced Castro in that defensive linebacker lineup for West Virginia. And they'll give it over to Stratford in about 3 or 4 yards for Troy Stratford, who last week had 171. Second best game of his career. There's Halloran. And hasn't he been terrific so far? Particularly the last 4 games that he's had an opportunity to start in. So they give them 4 yards on the carry, and there are the people we talked about: Stratford, Turner, Martin, Casparello, and Darren Flutie, Doug's brother. Oliver, Wolf, Twombly, Trapillo, outstanding player there at the guard, and Wydell, tackle on the near side. Sean Halloran. And immediately on the second play to Stratford. Makes a nice little cut. Beats his man over the 40-yard line. That was Stacy Smith that he beat, and he was tackled by Eric Lester.
Stacy Smith is yet to touch him.
Defensively, Hunt, Parker, and Fox. There's a change there. Matt Smith, the man to key and watch. Lester, Warren, and Pickett at the linebackers. And in the secondary, Smith, Holly, Curtis, and the man you can beat, Lockwood, the weak cornerback, and Lockwood lining up on the far side of the field. Stratford. And tackle near the line of scrimmage. Lester again right there. Well, we talked about a red-hot Sean Halloran, about the suspect West Virginia secondary and whether he's looking to exploit it. Here's what he had to say about that particular question.
They've had some problems this year, and it's an experienced secondary. So I'm not looking to go in there and just tear them apart throwing the football. I think we've got to run the football and control the football offensively. And the team that makes the fewest mistakes offensively, I think, is going to win the football game.
Back to the live action. Halloran in the eye. Stratford made a move like he was going to break early. And now they go to Stratford. And Stratford over to about the 43-yard line. Chris Parker and Eric Lester combining on the tackle. Well, it's going to bring up a 3rd down situation.
And there's Jeff Lucas, the captain, was a starter at right tackle. A lot of folks talking about him with a lot of pro potential. But in following up on Sean Halloran's comment, much of his passing game is not into the secondary. It's with the going against the linebackers, and as we've seen him already today, dump off passes to the tailback.
He'll do a lot of that. Third down and long. First third down attempt here for BC. Stratford. And isn't he a nifty runner as he gets to the 45-yard line. Stacy Smith, the left cornerback, comes over. After a series of frustrating injuries, BC's talented tailback, Troy Stratford, is finally 100%. We ask how it feels to be healthy at last.
It feels great. The last couple years I had nagging injuries that prevented me from playing, and I really didn't feel a part of the team. But so far this year, besides the few sore ribs I had in the beginning of the year, everything has been going very well for me. So it feels real good right now.
Incompleted pass attempt to Tom Waddle.
Here's a look at Waddle. Two receivers on the outside. Martin in the slot. Waddle falls down, and thus the timing on the pass is not there. We've already had three receivers, three players. The kickoff returner for Boston College. We've seen Troy Stratford, and now we've seen Waddle fall down. There are two kinds of artificial turf shoes, and perhaps Boston College players are wearing the wrong one today.
Very high crowd on the field also. Second down 10, ball at the 45. Stratford. He is definitely a pro prospect to the 41-yard line. Robert Pickett and Brad Hunt bookend him and bring him down.
I should mention that it has been drizzling and raining beginning last night, and thus the reason for the wet field conditions. The field was not covered last night, and despite the fact that it's not raining at the moment, you can see Jack Bicknell in his parka ready for the rain should it come.
That was Jim Bell, not Stratford, carrying the football. Snuck in on us. Third down and 6 from the 41. Turn to the lone running back. He's the fullback. Halloran. And that time he goes to
Kelvin Martin.
Kelvin Martin, who is his primary receiver, and he only needed 7 receptions to become the #1 here in the all-time Eagle list. Curtis and Lester, the hitters.
Kelvin Martin, an 85 All-American, multi-talented, led the nation last year in yards per catch with almost 20 yards per catch. He takes a good shot there over the center. Also the #1 punt return in the nation in terms of total yardage.
Now they make a change again, and they take Troy Stratford out of there. Bring in an extra tight end, Kyle Hudgens. First down and 10. Martin, and he slips and falls going to the far side, and Kyle, maybe you're right about the shoes. Lester was right there. Eric Lester, a linebacker.
Well, particularly frustrating for players like Troy Stratford and Kelvin Martin, who have to use a lot of dipsy-doodle shoulder moves to make things happen. They're not the straight-ahead power-type runners, and they need the ability to be able to cut.
This is a drive that started on the 29-yard line after the kickoff. BC still in possession. Remember, West Virginia has had problems in the first quarter all year. Turner and Stratford, the running backs. Troy. And Warren was the first to get there. Darnell Warren, a freshman from McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Some of the footwear that they're using out here. And
see the tape on the back heel part of the shoe. We saw that earlier with Hicks, the California player, on an earlier game we did here on USA. And dipsy doodle players have got to have good heel position because they've got to stop and start. And when you got tape covering those studs, you're not going to be able to stop.
Halloran on a 3rd and 7. Big rush. That's what they're looking for. Robert Pickett. There he is. Outside linebacker, and they'll put the pressure on from the weak side and try and backdoor the quarterback.
Talk about weak side. We're talking primarily for right-handed passer from his left. That's to our right, and there's the look. Sean Halloran doesn't see the rush coming, and Robert Pickett makes the tackle. This is really what the offensive line of Boston College prevented previous teams from doing. Louisville and Maryland, they gave up no sacks against Maryland.
All right, you have Ryan Lowe in to try and put one up and through. Here comes the kick. And it's no good. No good. A 46-yard attempt for naught.
Here they come. Jan Michael Vincent, Ernest Borgnine. Airwolf flies again. Today at 6, 5 Central on USA.
Come celebrate the arrival of Toyota's new 1987 line featuring new Supras, Celicas, Cressidas, Corollas, Camrys, and Tercels, all at Evansville Toyota Subaru. Toyota, who could ask for anything more? It's a sparkling new line at our sparkling new location, and we're celebrating in style. Evansville Toyota Subaru, 5600 East Division. We're more than just great cars.
Siegel's Big and Tall is now even bigger. Siegel's Big and Tall has been serving the Tri-State since 1897 at 4th and Locust in Evansville. And now we've opened a new store in Eastland Mall. We're the Tri-State's leader in high-fashion clothing for big and tall men. Siegel's also has lifetime alterations and repairs on everything we sell. We have the clothes to fit your lifestyle at Siegel's Big and Tall, 4th and Locust in downtown Evansville, and our new store in Eastland Mall. Siegel's Big and Tall for the man of distinction.
In case you don't know where you are, that's the Mountaineer. Hey, boy, don't point that thing my way. 9:53 to play in the quarter. A missed 46-yard field goal in West Virginia from the 29. Benny Reed. And he tries to go to the split end that time, and that was Harvey Smith. And it's incomplete under a guard over there by Garrick McPherson, the cornerback. There's Benny Reed and the numbers. Benny's not had a whole lot of opportunity to play, but he's a big guy with a strong arm, as Kyle told you before. Undra Johnson, Pecan, Talley, Basil, and Harvey Smith with Lynn, Stroyer, Koken, Kovac, and Smider on the line. Big, strong guys, but inexperienced. That's Undra. And Undra, who had 206 yards in a game last year and 106 against East Carolina this year, carries for the first time as a starter here this afternoon. Defensively, Lindstrom, Bosa, Perrell, Degnan, and Bill Thompson. And the linebacker's a good one. Romanowski and a sore-shouldered Ted Gaffney. Garrick McPherson with crush pain, Pelagata, and Vincent Munn. And we're down to 9:20 in the quarter. Third down and 6. Reed, and that's Calvin Phillips for the first down. Calvin with a quick look in. Carl Pelagata was there, but not before they get the first down.
Tried the same pass pattern earlier, and the ball was misthrown. Talley goes in motion, and making that man in motion softens the secondary to where they drop back a little bit, which forces, at that point, then Pelagata to have to soften up a little bit, and thus the underneath pass can be completed.
First down and 10 from the 47-yard line. 3 receivers in now. And Undra, who's a big, strong guy, gets good running room, 5'10", 200 pounds. You know, we spoke to West Virginia coach Don Nealon about his decision to start Undra Johnson over John Hollifield. Did it have anything to do with Hollifield's fumbles? Well, we'll find out directly from the boss man.
No question about it. I'm not down on Hollifield when he has the football, but he has fumbled 5 times, and we just have to try to find the right chemistry, and Undra Johnson has played very well, so we're going to take a shot and see how Benny and Undra do in the same backfield.
Not only do they have Benny in there, they have John Talley in the backfield, and Talley, the lead block, didn't get it done for Undra. Undra Johnson on a 3rd and 1. Maybe he did get enough for the first down.
What do you expect from a former quarterback to be a lead blocker? Let's take a look on the replay. And inside, Chris Pecan, the fullback, in there blocking. Talley number 7 on the outside. And we've got a 3rd down and short.
And now they're giving us a 3rd and short. So the scoreboard operator must have been out having a big night last night. Ball on the 45. Fumble. Ball loose. Boston College has gotten possession of the football. And the man on the bottom of the stack was Andy Hemmer. So Hemmer gets the fumble, and one of the men up front made the hit to jar it loose.
And how appropriate to be hearing from Don Nealon moments ago about the fumble problems. On the inside, here's Undra Johnson. Terrific tackle being made by Boston College. And so Bill Thompson with the big tackle that set up the fumble that Andy Hemmer was able to fall on.
BC takes over. And Jim Bell gets the call. And Bell will get nowhere as the West Virginia line is ready for this one. They've made a lot of changes in that line, and they've made some as recently as this morning, as they move Parker into the nose guard position and move Lucas back up. He was one of the starters before. There's Jack Bicknell, 11th season as collegiate head coach. As far as Boston College is concerned, his 6th year, and a good man. 2nd and 10. Halloran and Troy Stratford bounces off one. Travis Curtis was there. Lucas was there. You know, Lucas was a fella that they had really counted on heavily, Kyle. They moved him down, but he's been playing better the last week and a half, according to Coach Don Nealon. Matt Smith also into the tackle. We talk about all of that hand waving and nonsense over there by Bicknell. Evidently, it's effective. And we'll have a feature on that at halftime. 3rd down and 7. Halloran. And he completes to the tight end. Big Peter Casparillo, 6'3", 232, a senior from Summer Pass. Warren and Pickett push him out of bounds.
And it's enough for the 1st down. So 4 receivers out. We'll take a look. Boston College employs a very sophisticated passing offense, and you see the linemen give the passing lanes to Halloran. Halloran's able to move into the passing lane, take a step up, and hit Casparillo, a very safe pass.
Martin, Flutie, and Gregory are the wide receivers. Halloran again. And it's complete and out of bounds on the far side of the field. And that's Darren Flutie.
And was Flutie smart about where the 1st down marker was? Was right there, jumped over the sideline so that he landed out of bounds. Let's take a look. Inside is Kelvin Martin. Flutie's on the outside, 24. Martin to the inside on the look in. There's Flutie, and watch the step up. There's the jump. And now he goes out of bounds ahead of the 1st down marker, so another 1st down for the Eagles.
Pretty sage junior, isn't he? Spent some time in the summer, maybe taking some short passes from his brother, Doug, with the Chicago Bears. 1st down and 10. Stratford in motion. Casparillo, the tight end. They get the short pass close to the 20. Kyle will look for West Virginia to rotate their coverage to the strong side and go with the man in motion, which means they may have one-on-one coverage back to the weak side.
They've got to make a tactical choice, no doubt about it, Eddie. If they want to put pressure on Halloran, they're going to have to risk single coverage with Kelvin Martin and Darren Flutie. That's something you don't want to do, and so they're going to have to disguise their blitzes very well.
2nd down 3. We're at the 21, and Halloran's the quarterback. Sean Halloran, 6'5". And Flutie, well, he looked like he may have been getting ready to pass the ball himself that time. He looked away from the ball. Bicknell trying to get his guys pumped up, remind them of what happened the last several years against West Virginia. Marlatt, Hunt, Lucas, they're all there to put some pressure on the passer that time. 3rd down and 3. Change the tight end and the wide receiver. Turner the blocking back. And too high, Tom Waddle. Stacy Smith guarding him.
That's a called play. They go into the massive shift where 4 receivers, they shift strength of the team. They go from the right side to the left side and force single coverage on the outside, which is why they were able to run the button hook. Unfortunately, the pass too high, just a poor pass by Halloran because the 1st down was there.
All right, we're going to bring Brian Lowe back in the ball game. He's going to try another field goal, 2nd of the quarter. Sean Carmody will be the holder, and this will be about a 37-yarder. Pretty good angle. And this one is good. So Boston College, with 6 to play in the quarter, take a 3-0 lead over West Virginia.
When I'm flying at real low altitude, the last thing I need is trouble. This Indy Pace car is all stock from the ground up, and AC Delco parts help make it perform. Parts that keep this car running right, and your car too. For the AC Delco retailer nearest you, just give me a call at 1-800-AC Delco. Stay ahead of trouble with AC Delco parts.
We're not a company, but outstanding people come to us every day. People who want to make a contribution to a team and do work that really counts. People eager to see new places, do the unusual, and find the unusual. People who become your friends for life. People just like you. We're not a company, we're your country. We're the Navy, the Air Force, the Marines, the Army. We're the Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
We're at Mountaineer Field in Morgantown, West Virginia. And this is a beautiful stadium here. And the score right now, Boston College 3, West Virginia nothing, with 6 minutes to play here in the first quarter. Just underway, a missed field goal by BC, and then one that connected for 37 yards. And there they are over on the West Virginia side, trying to huddle the masses and trying to get something going. West Virginia will send a couple men up. And they'll have Darren Fulton deep with Nelson and Lamont up at the 10-yard line, and Fulton standing back on the goal line, number 23. And it'll be Brian Lowe getting it teed up at the other end and ready to kick it off for BC. 3-0 Eagles. Last year they were defeated 13-6 on a rainy day in Chestnut Hills. And the kick will come up short. Fulton at the 10. And out over the 25-yard line, Darren Fulton. Oh, a bunch of the Eagles were around there to bring the speedy little guy down. He's a freshman. And just this week moved from a wide receiver to a defensive back. So the numbers you're seeing there, indicative of the fact that he can play a little offense, but this year trying to see if they can make a defender out of him as well. Okay. Ball at the 27-yard line. Ben Reed will have Talley in the backfield, kind of a modified power eye, setting up at a wing, and now a whistle. Pecan and Undra Johnson are the running backs with a flag thrown down on the play.
This is going to be against Boston College. Take a look, and there is the call. As a nose tackle, Tom Perrell made contact. Or that's David Nugent, 71.
They've got both of them in there, Kyle. Right. They're playing Perrell and Nugent because that front line of West Virginia.
Foul, defense, first down.
Well, that front line of West Virginia is a big, strong, but as I mentioned, inexperienced. So they're going to use some veterans against them to see if they can neutralize the sides. 1st and 5. And there's Undra. And Undra over the 35-yard line. And he's got himself, I believe, a first down. It looks like maybe by a yard.
Take a look one more time. This is from the side judge's point of view. And here's a look. As Eddie said, under and over the first down marker. Undra Johnson, they miss in this offensive line. People like Brian Joswiak, the great All-American, Chuck Jolliffe. And it is an all-freshman and sophomore offensive line for the Mountaineers.
Good fake by Benny Reed, and he gives to Talley. And Talley inside the 45 of Boston College. Talley was the quarterback on this club late last year. They moved him to wide receiver, and they're lining him up in the backfield today.
On the replay again, split back, split movement, and Talley on the reverse. Now he throws a pass out of this. We might see it later on. Good lead blocking by the offensive line there. That John Barton and Bob Kovac. .6'5", 230. Looks like tight end material for me, Eddie, in the pros.
He certainly does. 17 yards in the pickup. 1st and 10. Undra Johnson. Good block by Pecan. And he beats Creshpang to the corner and inside the 40, but a flag thrown on the play. Maybe a holding call coming up or a clip. But a good lead block by the fullback, Chris Pecan.
Here's the call, holding, and they're going to call it on 39, Chris Pecan.
Too good a block.
Yep.
You like Pecan?
Well.
Or you like Pecan?
Let's go with Pecan.
All right.
Or pecan. Let's go. Tomato, tomato.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's right. How about pecan? You like that? Is that the way it's in the press guide? I think it's pecan in the press guide, isn't it?
What do you think? Pecan? Pecan. It's pecan. Well, yeah, if you're in the Latin mode, it's pecan.
All right.
Enough of that.
Offensive holding during the run. 10 yards. First down.
Jim Garvey. And they've got themselves a first down.
We've mentioned
First
one of the
down at
differences,
15.
excuse me, Eddie, between pros and college. I guess if they're paying you to play, they get to call your name and number out so everybody knows who made the mistake. In college, that's not so. But it was Pecan.
Now the scoreboard operator's back in sync with a 1st and 20. And they hit Undra Johnson for a loss.
John Bosa did.
Woo. You know, I like this fellow Bosa. And they talk about comparing him with Mike Ruth, but coaches that play against the team think that he is quicker than Ruth.
Take a look at Bosa on the inside, beats the guard block, gets penetration on the inside, going against Bob Kovac. Again, only a sophomore, about 245 pounds. And Bosa, the big man, a lot of experience, and certainly is going to be a pro player. Made 20 tackles against SMU, 12 of those unassisted. They said it was the greatest performance they've seen since that coaching staff has been together down at SMU.
2nd and long, Benny Reed. Boy, he put the old head down like a mountain ram and got himself a yard or 2 extra before Crushpain from Needham, Mass. Dropped him, but not before he got inside the 50-yard line. Boston with a very veteran team. There's Doc Holliday on the sideline. Standing next to Don Nealon and Jack Bicknell. I know he's served time on a ship out to sea somewhere. I know he has.
You think he's been in the Flag Corps, huh?
I know it. 3rd down and 12. Tally in motion. That pass is complete to Calvin Phillips. Well, Reed stayed right in his pocket. He did a good job. Steve Williams was there.
Yes, he did. If it's in the pros, it's a 1st down. In college, it's still short because his knee was down when he caught the ball. He jumped up and went ahead of the 1st down marker, but he was already marked down because of the college ruling.
Well, we're talking a cuticle here. We're not that far away. We've got a timeout called on the field. Timeout charge to West Virginia. 3:14 in the quarter, and so far Boston College with a 3-0 lead on a 37-yard field goal.
Luke and Barney. They're a new kind of hero. Outlaws in a new kind of army.
I got it! I got it!
But if chasing your dream is madness...
Sit down, Barney! You're gonna fall out!
Maybe you need to be a little mad.
You're getting a little low, Lou!
To be Sky Bandits.
Oh, you call that a landing? We walked away from it, didn't we?
Rated PG. Starts Friday everywhere.
This girl packs a power punch, a real hot shot of whole wheat crunch. Nothing frilly, nothing sweet. Slow burning fuel of good whole wheat. Hello, Berry, join the team. Fueling up to go full steam. Wheaties, yeah, good whole wheat. Now go tell your mama that's what this girl eats. Watch out, big boys.
Want to be a Boston College cornerback? Well, this is what it looks like as Ben Reed is in the saddle for West Virginia. The quarterback slot, you're backing up. He's pumping, he's looking, some pressure by your teammates, and all of a sudden, flushed out of the pocket, and he finds a wide open receiver. There we see the 1st down marker, slightly short. It's 4th and short. West Virginia is going for it.
So here's something that Nealon talked about, trying to open it up, be a little creative, imaginative, and risky. And on a 4th and 1, he's got the 1st down. Big hit there coming up by Ed Duran, who had come in as an extra D-back, to no avail as West Virginia gets the 1st down.
One more look again. Not a real good angle to see it all happen, but you do see the trap block that sets it up for Undra Johnson. And they made that with ease.
A very young West Virginia line trying to gain on-the-job experience. 1st and 10 at the 32. And that to the split end. Harvey Smith. And he was cracked pretty good over there by Vincent Munn. But look where they are. Inside the 15-yard line to the 13.
One more time. Very short drop, a 2-step drop. He looks inside, single coverage. Vincent Munn is right there, makes the tackle and tries to pull the ball out of Harvey Smith's belly as they go down. But a good, quick look-in pass. They've got to respect Smith's speed because he's scored last week, breaking out to the outside.
On the 13. And Undra close to the 10 from down under. As he tried to submarine the crew that time. Man up off the bottom was Dave Nugent, who's the nose guard, who's been playing with a very bad thigh bruise, but nonetheless in there.
From about this position against East Carolina, they used Harvey Smith on an out pattern in the corner of the end zone. And if they don't get much success here in the first down or two, let's look for that.
2nd down, 7 from the 10. Phillips in motion. Beautiful tackle by Boston College. Wow, what an effort right there.
Eric Lindstrom.
Gee, he came through there, handled the block, and made the stop in the backfield.
One more time, the fullback lead, tailback power I formation, and the trap block trying to be made by John Stroya does not occur as Lindstrom, the defensive end who was supposed to be trapped, got into the backfield.
3rd down and 5 on the 12. Tally. Inside the 5 to the 4-yard line. Kovac with a lead block. Got him a couple extra yards, and Romanowski, the tremendous inside linebacker, finally pulled him down at the 4.
John Talley's brother, an All-American, and linebacker now for the Bills.
There's the offensive coordinator, Doc Holliday, with the hand up. Boy, you talk about an all-business fellow yesterday. Couldn't even manage a smile out of him. He just wanted to play ball. Talley comes out of there now. 4th down and 1. Big effort with 1:15 in the quarter. Todd Fisher, an extra tight end, is in there. And incomplete. Boston College is held. It was intended for Harvey Smith in the end zone.
Talked about Smith's ability down tight in this 4-down territory. And they've used him so many times in the past that you would expect something like that.
Remember last year's game where Boston College fumbled on the 1-foot line? Well, they hold West Virginia inside the 5.
Oh, for a warm and cozy castle, insulated safely from the cold of winter. Cold cuts? Oh, for Insulsafe 3 from Certainteed. Pure white fiberglass insulation, thermally efficient, non-combustible. Oh, warmth. For year-round comfort. Help protect your home or castle. Insulate safely with Insulsafe 3. Call your insulation contractor now.
To know no boundaries, to let yourself run free. To know no boundaries is what the world should be.
Wherever there are investment opportunities, Merrill Lynch is there with the help you need to make the most of them. Because at Merrill Lynch, we believe your world should know no boundaries.
To know no boundaries.
Kyle, do you second guess Don Nehlen for not trying to tie from the 4 on a 4th and 1?
Well, you can bet the fans will, but I don't think so. They made the last 4th down and short with 4 or 5 yards to spare. And with the frustration that this team has had in losing 4 games in a row and being able to move the ball pretty well against the BC defense.
Halloran makes something out of nothing. He wanted a pass, saw the rush, he stepped out of the pocket, stepped up into the pocket, and finally got it out near the 10-yard line. So on a busted play, he makes 6. Not bad.
Well, he was looking for that old Utah underneath pass, but had he done that, could very well have had some problems with ineligible receivers downfield, so he did the smart thing. And in turn, also picked up 5 yards.
They call it a little less than a 6-yard pickup, 5.5. Make it 2nd and 5. Trying to try the left side of the line, it was Jim Turner. Turner, the fullback, a 217-pounder from Braintree, Mass. And he tries to burrow his way in there and gets nothing.
You know, it's so easy to second-guess a coach, but you got to look at Nehlen. He came here, he's yet to have a losing season. Here's a guy that in the 1980s, his team is in the top 20 in terms of record. And that's, I think, major part of the frustration for his team this season is that he deserves a year to kind of rebuild. And when you look at the freshmen, sophomores on the team, it's obvious that that's what he has to do.
Now, around here, they give you the summer to think about rebuilding. You know, never take a year off.
Oh, boy.
The fans don't like that. That's the end of the first quarter. Boston College 3, West Virginia nothing.